Overseer for William Blake. Overseer for William Blake. For William Blake. True son of London, star-born. Despite the flesh behind all origins, you alone inhaled angels through your mother's folds, entering. Anticipating blood in the cloud that you would continue to capture on paper. Your swift connect to the cosmos made you planetary prince and word king. Engraver of visions, you scorched from your Broad Street birth to a narrow, that single line, truth inspired, that speared the Bible side with dream steel. With a proper London accent, you spoke to the divine source of all being, courting nymphs and orisons, even as demons dared you with whispered admonitions and darkened intent, braced to kill. With a detic image in place, there was no umbilical cord to your parents. Instead, those starred emblems provided true familial warmth and embrace. Spokesman for the soul, you are England's true legend. Your death mask proof, much like Arthur's, of the magic bestowed around the place. And through the human face too, as you glower your lasting disapproval at all of the forces relinquished in man's disconnect with above. With a tongue of fire, you tamed the warring force that would claim us, and with the spiraling steps in your paintings that led to the light which stokes love. Your words turned to oil, backed as they were by bright pigment. A watercolor's tears taint the paper, while the fires you drew fueled the theme, which was to conceive majesty in all of the known realms and kingdoms. Imagined once, even peopled, before the times man has trampled, could roar and destroy treasured dreams. The work you left retains print of the angel's step across poems. One can picture you writing, with the glowing sprite crouched at the sill, or giggling at the gate of your immortalist's cottage in Felpham, and your shuffling of sheets that allowed them to caper and dance at their will. I consider your inspired solitude as a child, and concurrent walks across Soho. I see you in your Lambeth rooms or on corners defining the day, your mind sparked by a different shape to the light, splitting to reveal hidden kingdoms, glimpsed by you between curtains or between the divisions of leaves, the last dark that poetry separates, even souls. One sees the design and aim in your writing. With God overseeing, or you overseeing God, life is found. For that defining force is pure poet too, versed through nature's frame and the body. So, Bill Blake's blood colours language that man translates from God's sound. Earth and astral forces combine to rhyme and soothe disenchantment. As we start to write, William watches as all poems grow and life forms. For just as limbs assume shape, or the cell uncoils within water, the experienced song begins singing with a pattern of words, magic scored. The spirit of Blake lights our own, as he aligns himself to our visions. With each poem and plate set to serve us, as we shadow and shape heaven's door. One can picture you writing. There was no umbilical cord to your parents. The poetry separates. Braced to kill. Earth and astral forces combine in all the known realms and kingdoms. Your words turn to oil. That same line, truth inspired, that smeared the violent soul with dream steel. With a proper London accent, you spoke to the divine source of all. Overseer for William Blake. The flower folds for Harold Budd. May the 24th, 1936 to December the 8th, 2020. Suddenly, the bud is blown by harsh winds and by the sound souls still search for. As Harold leaves, his sense rises into the expectant night and far sky. Colour cries, carved by his keys and by the air he engendered. For as dreams parade and his pavilions are walked on once more, the pearl dries. But still it catches the light, the first light, as music's mirror ball reconfigures, with a shimmer of strings and piano that emboldens the room to remain, both in this part perceived realm and in the unknown land of his music, where cities glaze while abandoned, and a song serpent savors the wound his bloom seals to store pain. The snake uncoils behind glass, with the song of its tongue tasting shadow. Forgotten gardens unravel, just as the flame-claimed petals fold, admitting experienced life to next life, one glimpsed world away, born by whispers, while easing the sins soon forgiven, as the ache in the heart loses hold. At times of opposition or stress, I look to Bud's ice flows in Eden. I hear his gypsy violins searing murmur as his storm of sound gathers pace. His is the soundtrack within, as the blood and skin rise, translated. His music is smoke and star fusion, carving sky, gliding as the long-sought craft must through space. For Harold Budd, seeded stars in his minor keys and suspensions, a sculptor at work around silence, his hands threaded a shape through air's loom. As with Laraji, the Eno brothers, Florian Frick, Gavin Bryars, he soothed by sowing sound-sprung dark flowers, gardener and cartographer jointly, charting a scented path through lost rooms. There was no surrender to time in Bud's world, just a simple mastery of it. He found the correct key for dreaming and the tempo to ease or prize fear, from the fallen fruit of the flesh and onto the name-stung strength of a flower, part of the earth and air moving through it. He gathered soft spells, spiced for ears. I visit the white arcades and catch the coyote when I wish to communicate beyond language. I walk through the rooms and chambers he's seeded and will fashion again as he's heard above the rush of the reel. For his was a period parlor, in either by the dawn's early lights haunted western, or some wind-blown, cold stone boudoir, where his sweetened music is tasted, and where his sound becomes solid, and something to be held as hands heal. And so, the ambient artist ascends on account of this earthly static. Harold Montgomery Budd, now stars listen to your melodies made for moons. Your shade stays sustained, even as you are rearranged now beyond us. Pink petals bleed blue before fire. The spirit smoke rises, the chords commence curing, and with these golden hands, you're retuned.
Think Floyd. George Floyd's final words read like one of the last Beckett poems. His repeated pleas as they crushed him, a broken bubble of air in his throat. As Derek Chauvin stamped the life from this man, you could hear the sudden return of the jackboot. But on American soil, that rebranding came with a police uniform and blood moat. For this is the Castle Dakey, whose gates were stormed right through to the weekend, as opposition spread like wildfire and like a virus too on Death Street, across the US and the world, and lockdown leased here in London, as the fear of what happens or of what can happen soon fuels stilled feet. They will kill us all in the end if we rise against such dark action. The stark opposition in cities will bring the boot polish out in the camps. President Trump, the dumb scum, will have his commandant togs sent from maces, as he preens and prattles while the curb where Floyd died remains damp. And so a new martyr is made, when we would wish for none, as wounds deepen. The children bored at home of their parents are about to be released from the cage, as the anti-social distance is seen as suddenly secondary, and the primary children and the adults abroad unleash rage. When so-called elected leaders decry the reactions and thoughts of their people, history repeats swiftly on a continual loop with new clothes, whose colours soon blur as blood is churned in the mixer and the crimes perpetrated belong to the fat pink hand we all loathe. Hold someone down for too long, and the life rivers from them. That return to the water from which we all came is begun. Here, it is a river of blood and a sea of tears for a victim who died because a $20 bill was suspected as he tried to pay for his lunch. And so the white once again stained the black, with the hate they always say has been vanquished. After Eric Gardner, another, and back to Rodney King, that's the crunch. Now, empires of hate have built up under this brand new oppression, and the rage of those rivers in bursting the banks fills all cups. A prejudice of this kind is familiar, of course, and an acid black people have always endured it, as of course have the Jews. And the Palestinians, their hands. And the Lebanese, the Irish. Every place fills with poison, not all of which stains the news. But we would have thought, we'd have hoped, that at this startling time of division, a normal man in a deli would not become beaten steak. Across the world, anger fries as we prepare to sift through smoke. We're all burning. Weed trumps reaction and watches the world starts to break. Will it break for the best? With the dead bark split, fruit is growing. But sadly here it is strange fruit, as in the song by Nina Simone, Hate's Numb Taste. Apparently, Chauvin's on suicide watch. Does this mean the shame claims him? Or is that just the process with which they seek to convince us now of said guilt? Perhaps we should hang him from a tree and see the bitter crop spread around him. The man with the mask and umbrella was the first to shatter glass. What's been built? Clearly, the second structure of lies, there to incite and smudge focus after the global snuff movie was made to incur our outrage. Some believe this Chamberlain was a cop. Certainly his entire stance was a riot, and there is a clear strain of thinking that sees this as a second biblical stage, in which the feared slaves are smashed down as the white world feels threatened. A dark preparation through which the signal glare fans the flame that witnesses the world as it burns. Trump can only melt. He's warped plastic. Cummings is sulphur, but above and beyond them, as our statutes shake, what's been learned? We are being pushed back to work, charting our lives, remaining chance on the tube map, as they actively prepare for a new strain once others die serving them. Get the economy fed, and new graves too, there's no question. Remember that Chauvin was filmed for 9 minutes as he brought a black man to his end. Now black and white clash for the right to riot. Meanwhile, another face finds its dinner, and the angel of death makes new friends. The lies rise from lies that surround now to slice us. Windows weep just like widows. In our hands now are mirrors reflecting back fate's pretense. David Erdos, June the 1st, 2020.
Songbird Soured. One of the rarest foods served on plates is the ortolan songbird, the snack of billionaires only. Their shame demands that it's eaten under either a hood or face shroud, so that whatever God is will not see how one of its most exquisite creations is mastered. Dipped in Armagnac brandy and roasted, its sweet French song extinguished as it enters and thrills each damned mouth. The 1% eat it whole, priming privilege for sensation. It is for their slick indulgence that this 1 ounce illegal and thus exclusive bite seasons need. You swallow this bird, crisped and caught from feet to beak, crunching on bones, fats and brandy, with the taste of figs and flesh fusing with the juices and guts in your feed, including, of course, your own blood, as the ortolan's bones and talons scrape at you. And yet, as you chew, the flamed life force of what once sang and flew falls consumed. Sadly, such acts are attacks that this slender horde unleash on us. In every false word and gesture, the delicacies of the depraved distort tune. For now, the future of song and music too has been threatened. With the global songbird soon silenced, a report on the enemy website defines the true enemy, as the immigration bill that slid through will restrict the free flow of EU and non-EU musicians, who from 2021 will need visas to play their music here and succeed. They will also need to show gain and worth of more than £1,000 in their pocket, enough to ensure that their singing will incur no extra charge from our air. And the price of these visas will rise as each breath is checked, each note measured, guaranteeing that the live sharing of music and the collaborations to come won't be spared. The ortolans are alive when they are cast into the brandy. They are cooked alive, their fear frying in the juices of booze and their blood. Just as music will be, as they start to segregate every artist, one step away from the gulag, as the musician Gilda Ray describes, death's new flood. As sound waves suffocate and are separated by oceans, the richer rock stars may fund them, but will and inclination are being forced to decrease. As the scale of song shrinks and a tempest occurs around touring, having been robbed of the record as a means to survive, gigs release not only the energy of that air, but the actual purpose of music. It is man's variant on ascension, and the methods and means we can fly. If you place a cage around breath, you will only obscure vision's mirror, and what you will see in reflection will lose surface and sense as stains dry. Music will remain in its cell, unable to even return to the pubs we can't go to. In emptied rooms, chords are practiced as the performing of them starts to fade. The Brexit burn will scorch through and have every English artist soon branded. For Corona will have assisted those slick Eurosceptics who will have been able to slide this all into play. We have been distracted, of course, and have not heard the guitars fall from tuning. The pianos too now sound sour as the pedaled sustain soon falls thin. Suddenly, a key struck in France, or a string strummed in Spain can't be balanced, as the price is paid and demanded, and those who aren't famous and advance the art fail to sing. The ortolan bird, found in France, is a deeply endangered species. Its spark is numbed for Musk's dinner, or if not Musk himself, his cohorts, who will soon decide what we eat as they carve up elephants as food sinners, and claw the sky free of songbirds and saute the dreams we'd support. You can put a price on the art, but this is a tax on the artist, not on what they do, on what's special about what they wish to bring to the world, which is both a means to become and a melody made by the ancients, who afforded a true sound to feeling, and to the thousands now who will be spurned. It will be one more song that's been stopped, and one more act towards silence. For at music's end we'll hear cracking and feel the crumbling of flesh as hearts fall. For skin will have lost its soft muse as we become the ortolan, consumed by the removed money makers, protecting themselves as we suffer, wings clipped, deafened, dying, and dreaming once more about flying and of some lost bird's distant call. I hear a bird singing now, and see a fat and phantom hand come to grasp it. I play a chord. No one listens. The bird has flown. The skies stalled.
Between bright worlds,
for Heathcote Williams.
Hi, Heathcote.
We mischief makers must stick together. It's the most potent thing imaginable. Pick apart in the discordian.
It is now 3 years since you passed, but there has been no time spent without you. Held as you are in the thought light, the word light shines all the more. Casting its deep shadow, we write, following the lines you left with us, as our hearts and fingers trace motion, like a blind man found at truth's door. One can still read you like Braille, rising from the page, superseding what we might call the pale print of others, as you colour in now from far suns. What the flesh led to and found as the captive angel conditions the racked heart around it and the stories you scorched through blood stunned. All of your energies fused the surrounding space you engendered. Friends made in a moment became eternal attendees at your court. Prince of the pen and kinged page, your mischief and muse venerated, all of those forced and forfeit to the crimes of state still enforced. You freed the spirit, now yours brothers the souls you defended. Whale and elephant, dolphin, dodo and tree, Jesus Christ. As you move from man into myth, what we know of you forms new language, with which we will talk to you and with you again through starlight. You will be dancing behind, nimble as you were in your heyday, your wow zone resplendent whenever your writing and way claimed a mind. Those still on the planet salute you in love, winking our wish through the cosmos, broadcasting life's message that yours is the path still defined. It used to lead to Oxford, but now it stretches on beyond Pluto. For wherever God sits, you'll be searching for alien leads in a play. There will be starred graffiti, comet clear, bridging brand new solar systems, as you call into question both creation's frame and time's sway. You will be immortally moving, far free, as you redefine the first nothing, rewriting life and the future, as I sit thinking of you on July the 1st, your death day. For Heathcote Williams alive, as you continue to be, words are shining. You have sent summer sun to speak for you as you remain freedom bound. We await each of us to continue the lessons you taught us as our released fires seek you. When our time arrives, trace our sound. For now, 3 years mark the point in which you moved behind colour. Between bright worlds we search for you, and so I send up this fresh signal flare. Friends and family blaze as thought's fire continues. Love's too, and so we carry on as if with you, breaching burnt blue and attempting to honour you still. That's God's dare.